Hey, Colorado Springs. This is Jenny Bayless, and I'm here today with my co host, Leah Keeling. Leah, how are you doing?
Doing good, Jenny. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I'm excited to do this deal analysis with you because it's another Pueblo property.
Yes, this has
Yeah.
been a good one for sure.
Yeah, we've been getting a lot of interest in Pueblo. Just with prices rising in Denver and Colorado Springs, even Pueblo is just a really good alternative market to check out. I think just because it's more affordable down there, and the rents still make it a pretty good return. So I think it's definitely worth checking out and. We're going to just kind of highlight a few of these deals for everybody. So,
Yes.
yeah, can you start off and let us know a little bit about this client and just kind of what he was looking for and how you guys landed on this property?
Yeah, sure. So this client was a little torn between the Pueblo market and then a Midwest market. So we chatted back and forth for it was a couple months, and then we just decided, hey, let's set up a little bit of a property tour, and then just check out the city. He had never stopped in Pueblo; he kind of just passed by. Um, and so that's what we did. And he ended up just loving Pueblo and he left just super fired up about it. So it was an awesome day for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, I have heard that from a lot of your clients. I know we spoke with Emily and Kyle on a different one where they had never been to Pueblo before and they just spent the day down there and were completely enamored by the city. I think that you showing this particular client around town, I think that it dispels a lot of myths. People get to actually have eyes on and see for themselves. And I know we were joking before we started that you are not offering free tours for everybody who's interested, but we really recommend just for anyone who's curious, like just go down there and spend half a day. Go have lunch by the river walk. Just drive through some of the neighborhoods and see it for yourself. And I think that will put a lot of clarity in people's minds. Just getting eyes on.
Yes, it definitely did the trick for him. He's like talking about selling one of his other investment properties that he has and putting that into Pueblo. So it's just really exciting.
Yeah, yeah. I'm excited about Pueblo myself. It's a really interesting city. So,
Yes, it is.
all right, we'll start with this deal analysis. So, tell me a little bit about the property.
So this is a townhome in Belmont, and I love Belmont.
Yes, yes, your favorite
So
neighborhood.
yes, so I saw this one pop up actually through my email, um, and I jumped right on it, sent it over to my client, and he loved it. So it just went like that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember you had sent it to me because you really liked it yourself. And I know you're thinking about buying it yourself, but send it over to him, and I'm glad that he jumped on it, and we're able to take advantage of that. Um, what did you guys end up getting it under contract for?
So we offered 195.
Was it listed at 195?
It was listed at 190.
Okay.
Um,
That's not bad considering, some of the, over ask that we have to go in for Colorado Springs.
exactly.
It can be a lot larger than 5,000. So that's not bad in my opinion.
Not bad at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty easy. I think there were multiple offers. So we were a little nervous, but we offered a limited inspection and we covered the with appraisal gap. So we had a solid offer. So we were confident, but we knew there were multiple offers on this one, but we ended up getting it. So
Great.
yes.
So you have about 7,000 in acquisition costs,
Mm-hmm.
which that makes sense. I know loan costs seem to be going up, just like everything else in the world. Those are starting to creep up a little bit. Same with interest rates. And this client, it looks like he put down 25%.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a, a nice chunk for safety right there.
Yes.
And then he got a 4% interest rate on the 30-year fixed.
Yep.
Great. So we'll talk about rent, but I do want to jump back to that. So it sounds like you guys are putting 1,300 to be really safe. Tell me a little bit about what you guys are seeing for the neighborhood and kind of the ranges that you were seeing there.
Yeah, so we have another client actually that has two condos in this area. So I knew that we could get 1,300, but when we pulled the rentometer on this one, the neighbor right next door is getting 1,500.
Wow. Okay.
I know. So I told him, oh, I think that's a little bit high, but you can certainly go for that when it's time. But just for the sake of being conservative, we just went with 13. But what's cool about this townhome is there's a lot of value add because the basement is already piped in for a bathroom and already has a closet and an egress window. So easily convertible into, a third bedroom.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Is there 2 beds, 1 bath on the, in the current state?
No, there's 2 bed, 2 bath.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So that could be really good.
Yes.
To have like a little private suite down in the basement too.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think
Great.
he's going to do that right away, but over time for sure.
Yeah, as equity starts to build,
Mm-hmm.
then he can re-explore that. I think that's a really good plan.
Yes.
So he lives in Denver, so he is going to have a property manager. So
Yes.
we'll put 10% there. 8% for reserves and maintenance. It is a pretty new home. I think you said in the 80s it was built.
Yeah, it's built in the 80s, but it has no HOA. And it's stucco.
Oh,
And so,
nice.
yeah. So we did 8% just because he is going to have to keep the maintenance up on, the whole unit. So,
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I know we like to run townhomes usually at like 5% if it's a newer type of townhome that does have an HOA, because usually the HOA covers the exterior. But as you just addressed, he has to compensate for
mm-hmm.
that in his own maintenance reserves.
Yep.
And then we'll go down to taxes. So 680 for the year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then property insurance, 1,800. That's kind of high. I know we talked about that. But yeah, I guess he's gotten like several quotes, and this one was the best. So it's kind of interesting how why this one is particularly, a fairly high insurance cost for this property.
Yeah, that's what we're finding in Pueblo. I feel like we need to get to the bottom of why on that. It's not a city that has any crazy weather or anything like that. So it's pretty interesting. But actually, he update on this. He was able to find a quote for 1,500.
Okay.
Every little bit counts.
Yep. I'm going to change that.
Yes.
Great. And
So, yeah.
that's good. I mean, $300 is
Mm-hmm.
$300. So, yeah. So in terms of utilities, he's going to have the tenant pay for everything.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's see what the numbers look like in its current state with a very conservative rent number, and then we'll just kind of play around with that. All right. So we have total cash invested of $57,290, which I know we have talked about in detail, but we often hear about people that have $50,000 that they have set aside for investment, and $50,000 doesn't really go too far in Denver or Colorado Springs. So Pueblo kind of hits the mark for those that are wanting to deploy that specific amount. And he's right around that. He could have put 20% down. That would have probably gotten him to the 50. Let me play around in
Mm-hmm.
our.
Yeah.
Let's see. So if he put 20% down, yep, he would be
Yeah.
at 47 all in. So very,
Yes.
very good. All right. So then we'll scroll down. he has a net operating income of about $10,000 a year, minus mortgage payments of $83.79. So an annual cash flow of $17.65, which also ticks the box for a lot of other people's desire for return. So it's the $50,000 down thereabouts, and then $100 a month in cash flow. We're close to $150 a month estimated cash flow. So I think that kind of, meets a lot of people's baseline goals. And so cash on cash return of 3.1% and a cap rate of 5.2%. So nothing, phenomenal or amazing with these numbers, but they fit a lot of people's buy boxes. So I think that that's kind of important to highlight, that it's a local option that, meets people's financial goals at a very conservative level. And I want to go back and put in $1,400 and $1,500 for rent and just see how much that changes things.
Yes.
All right, so we'll put in $1,400 for rent. Now we're at $2,713 cash flow for the year, a 4.7% cash on cash and a 5.7% cap rate.
Oh, that's awesome.
I think that would make a lot of people really happy. And it's, when you think about it, it's only $1,200 a month or $1,200 a year more than our previous scenario. But, even if he doesn't get that higher rent amount, if he just waits a year or two, he probably will. So it's like the difference between, what I just said was not phenomenal to, yes, I think that this is bordering on like really, really good. When you think about it in terms of, hey, it's only $100 a month, that's not a big deal in my opinion. And, if he waits a year or two and is able to increase his rents to get to that point, I think that's amazing.
I do too. I was so happy about this property.
Let's put in $1,500 just to be very aggressive on that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So this is enough to make a lot of people really excited, I think. So the numbers at $1,500, which is the aggressive figure, but apparently doable since his neighbor is getting that. $3,600 a year, a 6.4% cash on cash return, and a 6.2% cap rate.
Yes.
So we do not see those numbers very often. So that those are numbers that will get people hyped up, I think.
Yes. So, I actually have had a couple clients reach out just like for comparison, like a townhome here in Colorado Springs and then a townhome in Pueblo. So I sent this one as an example and they're like, oh, it looks like Pueblo's the way to go.
Yeah.
It's looking like it.
Yeah. I mean, like, when's the last time you saw above a 6 cap in Colorado Springs? And I love Colorado Springs, but I mean, it's been probably years, right?
Right. Yes.
So I think that that's pretty exciting, especially if, the from the photos, the home is beautiful. So I don't think your client needs to do anything. If he wants to just kind of test the waters and list it at $1,500 and see if he gets any bites, like he could have just like skyrocketed his returns on this. So I think that's pretty exciting, and I'm really pumped to hear what he ends up getting his rent at. But even with the conservative figure, which I imagine that he'll get much more than that. It's not bad. It goes from not bad to phenomenal. So
yes. There's lots of opportunity on this one. So exciting.
Yeah. So any last minute thoughts on this one?
No, but I think that this is a great example of, what you can do in Pueblo. So I think this is a good one for people to hear about.
Yeah. And turnkey too, right? Like,
yep.
It doesn't get any easier than this.
Yeah.
And we have good connections to property management. So it's kind of a set it and forget it type of approach. But yeah, well, thanks so much for joining me on this one. And if anyone has any Pueblo questions, they can reach out to you on email, leah@envisionrea.com.
Yes.
Thanks, everyone.